In this video, we're going to talk about one of my favorite books, The Power of Habit, by Charles Duhigg. This book was published in 2012, and it's now over 10 years old, but it still holds up today and will continue to for many years to come. So, what's made it so popular? Well, the author takes us through a deep dive of how our brains work, why we do what we do, and most importantly, gives us the tools and techniques to improve our lives. If you stay till the end, I'll share with you some extra notes that I wrote down when I read this book that I think are just as important, if not more important, than the points that Duhigg actually made. But before we get into it, if you like videos about books, self-improvement and business, please consider following. And if you've already done that, thank you. And let's start with a quote from the book. Every habit consists of 3 parts: a cue, a routine, and a reward. That cue can be something as simple as time or location. When it's 7 p.m., when you walk into your home office, when you finish work, when you open Instagram. It could also be something internal, such as an emotion. For example, boredom, stress, loneliness, desire, frustration. And then there's the routine itself, the actual behavior that you exhibit. And then finally, there's the reward, the result of the action that makes you feel good. If you want to replace a bad habit with a good one, according to the author, the key is to keep the same cue and reward, but insert a new routine. For example, if you currently eat chocolate when you're stressed out, but you want to replace this bad habit with something better for you, maybe reading, you would keep the same cue, feeling stressed out, and the same reward, which is feeling better. And then you would insert a new routine, which in this case is reading. Let me give you another example. One of the best routines that I've built into my life is exercising. Now my cue is waking up at 6 a.m. My reward is that I feel amazing afterwards, and then the routine is my workout. But sometimes my reward can also be the workout itself. You see, I really enjoy working out. So even if I don't feel rewarded afterwards because maybe I'm tired or I don't feel any different, the routine itself is rewarding for me. And the reason I'm able to do this is because of a book that we talked about previously, The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. That book helped me establish the cue of waking up at 6 a.m. And after reading that book, I knew that I wanted to make sure that I had a routine established once I got up at 6 a.m. And since I knew that the reward for me would be both feeling great afterwards and also enjoying the routine, it was a pretty easy decision. Now we know how to change our own habits, but Duhigg argues that there are 2 particular types of habits that have an even bigger impact on our lives: keystone habits and organizational habits. Let's take a look at these 2. First, keystone habits. Now, we've probably all heard the phrase, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, and Duhigg argues that the secret to success is finding those lemons. He says that every successful person or company has 1 or 2 keystone habits that they rely on that triggers a cascade of good behavior. He uses the example of exercise. If you go to the gym, you know that when you finish a good workout, you feel good about yourself. Your mood is improved, you're more energized, and you're more motivated to do the rest of the things on your to-do list. Exercise is a great example of a keystone habit. But Duhigg also mentions that making your bed is another great example. In fact, he even goes as far as saying that you can measure the success of a particular morning by whether or not you make your bed. If you make your bed in the morning, chances are you'll have a more productive day. But if you don't make your bed, chances are you won't. As for why making your bed correlates with productivity, Duhigg writes that doing this small task, first thing in the morning, provides a sense of self-efficacy. That's Latin for you're capable of doing hard things. And it's this belief in yourself, your ability to do hard things, that allows you to tackle the rest of your to-do list. Organizational habits. These are shared routines within companies that determine how groups of people perform and how they interact with each other. This is very important if you're an executive or a manager, and it's even more important if you work at a company that doesn't have a strong company culture. Organizational habits are important because they control behavior, and if you can control the behavior of everyone within your company, then you can control the performance and success of the company. Duhigg uses the example of an unnamed bank that used to lose millions of dollars because their organizational habit was too slow. And so this meant that by the time they came up with solutions to problems, the problems were no longer relevant, and they ended up wasting tons of money. They changed their habit to be quicker and faster, and as a result became a highly profitable company. Duhigg identifies 4 types of organizational habits. Covenant, where the members of a group come together around shared responsibilities. These are the type of habits that bind people together and help them work through difficult tasks. Craft, where members of the group develop specialized skills that they can use to complete tasks more efficiently. This is very important if you want to become an expert at something. Commerce, where members of the group focus on exchanging goods and services with each other. This is common within sales teams. Personal, where the focus is on how each individual can serve the group's interests. There are 3 main takeaways that I want you to remember from this video. First, every habit consists of a cue, routine, and a reward. If you want to change a bad habit into a good habit, keep the same cue and reward, but change the routine. Second, keystone habits can either make or break your day, your week, your year. Some examples of great keystone habits include working out, meditating, journaling, making your bed, reading, and learning something new. And third, organizational habits can make or break your company. If you're a manager or an executive, spend some time thinking about what habits are present in your organization and how you can change them to improve performance and company culture. So I mentioned earlier that I had some bonus points that I wanted to share with you, and I'd like to call them hacks. Here are 4 of my favorite ones. Hack number 1, use habit stacking. This is a technique where you pair a new habit that you want to establish with an existing one. For example, if I want to drink more water throughout the day, I would pair it with a habit that I already have, like drinking coffee. So whenever I have my first cup of coffee in the morning, I'll also have a glass of water. Hack number 2, utilize the 2-minute rule. This is where you do the new habit for only 2 minutes. For example, if you want to exercise more but you don't really feel like it, tell yourself that you'll only exercise for 2 minutes. Chances are you'll get into a flow state and end up exercising longer than you planned. Hack number 3, remove temptations. If you want to reduce the likelihood of doing the bad habit, remove the cues altogether. For example, if you want to stop eating junk food, remove all junk food from your kitchen. Or if you want to stop mindlessly scrolling on social media, delete your social media apps from your phone. And hack number 4, automate your habits. Use technology to your advantage. There are plenty of apps out there that will help you establish good habits and avoid bad ones. For example, there are apps that will block certain websites during certain hours of the day, apps that will lock your phone if you don't complete a task first, and even apps that will send you reminders to complete tasks. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like. Thank you for watching.